Right, so if you've been on the internet for any time whatsoever, or if you even exist, if your body hasn't waded into the ether, you will know that Reddit has become somewhat of a catch-all term for something usually bad. Now, I personally will say that Reddit is a great site, because with the ever devolving and degenerating engines that we use to search for information these days that constantly recommend you to have AI generated answers. I do miss the good old days of having a dude with a certain amount of expertise explaining something to you very specifically, something akin to like Yahoo Answers or Quora. I remember myself as a teen needing answers to change a fuse in a given box, and or if you were a girl, how would you fare if you did not have some elderly lady explaining to you how to get pregnant. What I'm trying to get at is that I do appreciate expertise sometimes, and Reddit can have that in a plenty, as some professionals actually do frequent a lot of subreddits. However, there are those who moderate the subreddit, and those are some power-tripping assholes sometimes. And I've gotten this recommendation on my Discord, a series of like 3 videos by Most Critical going through some specimen doing that very thing. Let's watch.
There are few things in life as pathetic as being a proud Reddit moderator. It's a position that attracts the most insufferable hoity-toity dweebs like moths to a flame, and it bestows upon them the tiniest sliver of power, just barely above like a middle school hall monitor, and somehow that immediately goes to their heads and corrupts their already ugly soul, leading to the most embarrassing meltdowns and just outrageous power trips over nothing. And this is a stereotype that's existed for a while, and it seems like it's just the truth of being a Reddit mod. Like, this is just the sad reality of the people that take up that mantle. They think of themselves as fucking Batman, but what they actually are is the goddamn box ghost from Danny Phantom. Anyway, though, I'm blasting that ass with some new hotness here. A brand new mod meltdown courtesy of r/art.
Oh boy, no, not r/art. Nothing bad ever happens there. Like almost every single day. Oh, his description of Reddit moderators there made me think of a TikTok that I came across not too long ago of a girl trying to actually explain how Reddit moderators, at least Redditors as a whole, do act somewhat like coppers.
My current theory is that every single person on Reddit is somebody whose lifelong dream was to be a cop, because it's not even like, why do you think that this is a normal way to act at this point? It's, why do you think this is a normal way to speak?
I'm not saying that she's right, but there's a sliver of truth to that.
It is a pretty fascinating one, and also not its first rodeo. The r/art subreddit's got some hostile mods. So I'm going to go over the most recent one from, I think it was yesterday, and then I also want to give you a little blast from the past from a previous instance where one of these mods went nuts. But this one I think is quite special. So what happened is there's an artist named Hayden Clay who posted his art on the subreddit. It got very popular, and in the comments he was replying to somebody asking for more information about his work, and he mentioned that,
that's nice.
You can find my work here, and there's also some prints available too. Just a very quick reply to a nice comment. And one of the rules of the subreddit is you can't be like self-promoting your work, so you can't be like advertising prints or anything. So because he used the word prints, it got the whole post removed. Just blasted to the shadow realm. They smited it. So Hayden Clay was pretty upset, so he messaged the mod about it, trying to get further clarity, and maybe he could try and find a way out of this pickle here because he felt it was unjust. There you can see the comment that got him banned. I have a whole mini-series called Clear Boundaries with Prints Available. Just a very offhanded remark about having prints available, and it was removed because...
Seriously?
Because of that. So he said, "Are you seriously banning me for giving more information on my work? No, I banned you for breaking our rules. But I can also remove all your old posts as well if you'd like." Oh man, this guy's no nonsense,
tough guy,
tough as nails. You don't tussle with the muscle. r/art mod. Oh brother, watch out! He's coming down with the iron fist. This is so fucking silly. So, like I said, the rule is like no self-promoing or whatever. You can't be mentioning where they can purchase your art or anything like that. Which he wasn't really doing. It's an offhanded reply to someone that was saying they'd like to like have the art in their office or whatever. Like it's such a stretch to even have that be like a violation of their rule in the first place. It is solely because the word print is there. What an
Just, I don't know, notify the person. Like, I understand that there is a justification for it because a lot of people might use a site like that just to astroturf their stuff, right? To push them onto people. Ad's an ad, okay? Not everybody needs that. Matter of fact, most people don't need that. But this is wild.
unbelievably stinky loser. This guy is working for free as the moderator of a subreddit and he thinks he's doing the Lord's work here. He's treating himself like he's fucking Jason Bourne or something. Oh my god, it's so sad. I can literally smell this guy through his messaging. I already know when he typed, but I can delete your old posts as well if you'd like. I can see him doing this with his hands like some kind of fucking anime supervillain. Oh, he's such a worm. Hayden Clay responds saying, just delete the comment and move on. Sorry I mentioned the word print. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He said, your history has been removed. You're welcome. He laid the smackdown on him. He just...
Jesus Christ, at this point this isn't even about breaking the rules. This is you having some sort of vendetta against me. My comments broke Rule 9, I get that and I apologize. The reaction is overstepping boundaries. Yes, it absolutely is. Good lord. This is like that little worm from the series Recess. Like, even as a nerd myself, I couldn't stand this guy. Randall. You remember that one? Randall, that red-headed...
Hell no, man. What the fuck?
douchebag of a kid, the one that Spinelli always wanted to beat up. I imagine that the man has the physiognomy of a hall monitor.
Poofed away all of his post history. And then he replied again saying, at this point, this isn't about breaking the rules. This is you having some sort of vendetta against me. My comment broke Rule 9. I get that and apologize. This reaction is overstepping boundaries. Which it definitely is. Worth mentioning, Hayden Clay had some posts that were extremely popular, some older posts in his history. Like, I think one of them, according to Dolan Darkest, was even in the top 250 of all time for the subreddit. So having his entire history removed actually is somewhat of a big deal to an artist who has this as a means of showcasing their talent. This, also, just to be clear, I think this rule somewhat makes sense to avoid, like, exploitation from people coming in there solely to, like, astroturf it for their own gain or whatever.
Yep.
But when it comes to like an individual artist, having this kind of eyes on their art, this visibility is very helpful to them. So I feel like it shouldn't be something that you destroy them for solely because they mention that they could be found elsewhere.
Of course, and plus there are some Reddit threads that or subreddits that thrive of having these people involved in the subreddits. So, like, why would you even do that without even having a conversation with the person?
Like, I feel like that's something you should want to help these artists that are very talented. But on r/art, it's run like some kind of fucking cult, I suppose. And if you step out of line, well, I hope you're ready to take the big beat down that the mods will give you. They'll take you behind the back of the bar and break your
Old
kneecaps.
Yella style.
Metaphorically speaking, of course. I don't think they even know how to throw a punch. They'd probably break their own fucking wrist if they even tried to hit a heavy bag, I would imagine. But this shit is just so unbelievably foul. Like, he has done nothing wrong. He reached out asking, you know, like, what's going on? What's the deal here? He even, like, apologized and said, can you just delete the comment and we can move on? And that was enough to make the Reddit mod go even more Insano style. Like, Jesus Christ. Just check yourself into an institution, buddy. Oh, my lord.
the Reddit mod was like, he's asking more questions. Adjust glasses. Naruhodo. Absolute worm.
I don't even know who the fuck you are. He thought that line went so hard when he thought of it.
Wow.
That's some major main character energy there.
What?
Oh, yeah,
Coming
Hayden
from
Clay's
who?
the one with main character energy. Certainly not the r/art mod who's gone through and deleted every single one of his posts, all because he had the gall, the audacity to talk to him in DMs.
I'm sorry, I know that I'm reading in advance here, but you've been reported for harassment. Dude, I can smell the Cheetos coming through the screen, man. I'm imagining the, inferior culture growing through these person's rooms looking like aspergills.
He dared try and speak to a mod. Don't you know they are holy, sacred icons of the Church of r/art? You can't just speak to them and question their decisions. And then he replies saying, says the power-hungry mod who deleted all my posts because I asked the question. True. You've been reported for harassment. Have a wonderful day. Nice job making this sub a worse place for artists and those who enjoy it. Yeah, the mod reported him for harassment all because he was asking a question in DMs and then just responding to having all of his shit just wiped out in the extinction event of r/art. And now he's been reported for harassment. I already know this mod. His heart was beating so fast. This was probably the most excitement he'd had since the last time he had done this. Like, I bet he was cracking open 4 Mountain Dews, like cracking his knuckles. Time to get to business.
Yeah,
Talk
boy.
to me. Time to remove all of his posts. Also, that report for harassment led to Hayden Clay being banned site-wide on Reddit for 3 days.
What? No shot. I've seen cases of Reddit moderators like overstepping it, right? And being involved in like very long conversations that somewhat gave them a degree of legitimacy in the things that they were mentioning in the discussions. Usually has been in science-related subreddits and or political-driven ones, okay? So I will kind of understand why a discussion with a moderator can get heated there. Not to take from the greatness of art, okay? Don't misunderstand me. But this, to an account-wide ban? What the?
Cool system they have over there at Reddit where one angry mod can make a complete fraudulent bogus report of harassment and it immediately leads to a ban for the recipient there. What should have happened is this report goes through, someone takes a look at it, they immediately recognize that this mod is unstable and should not have that position in the first place, so they strip him of his mod privileges. That's what should have happened.
Right.
And if that did, I bet that guy's life would have felt like it was crumbling down around him. Because if he can't enact his power on strangers on r/art, then his life has no meaning. But that is just not how Reddit functions over there at all. I remember over the years it's been kind of revealed that a large part of Reddit is controlled by a handful of these turbo losers, where it's like this tight-knit club of people that have absolutely nothing going on with their life, so their whole existence is dedicated to power tripping on Reddit and like controlling it like they're the puppet masters.
Imagine if Wikipedia did this. Like Wikipedia, despite the fact that a lot of people have always made, even myself at some point, made fun of it sometimes being used as primary sources by some people, it is still one of the greatest gifts to mankind. I actually might make a video on Wikipedia very soon because of some recent events. But a site and or a database even that is driven completely voluntarily by people for free. And if they were tripping so much, like the Redditors here, yeah, I don't understand again the comparison that the lady there did before with regards to them being failed coppers.
Because it's not even like, why do you think that this is a normal way to act at this point? It's why do you think this is a normal way to speak?
And I imagine this is one of those kind of people, because it's pretty clear that he can just report someone and immediately they're banned for it. So I have to guess that this mod is part of that group, especially when you consider that his appeal was also denied with the admins siding with the mod's harassment theory here, believing that that was the correct course of action.
Wow.
He needed to be banned for 3 days, all because he decided to try and ask a question to an r/art moderator. That's a sin punishable by death on Reddit. But anyway, as a result of all of this, r/art went into like a pseudo lockdown where you couldn't submit new posts or make comments. They have since soft reopened it so you can make comments again. And of course, all the comments are probably what you're expecting, where everyone is mentioning Hayden Clay and how unfair this is, and basically calling for the resignation of this mod as if it's some kind of like legitimate position. It's not, and it's also never going to happen. He is never going to relinquish his mod privileges. It is literally what he lives for, I bet. And you can kind of see that because he still replies to people that reach out about this. Like, even outside of Hayden Clay, there's people expressing their concern. So here's another r/art mod classic. We ban people who don't follow our rules, for sure. Cool, but I'm more talking about the way the mod spoke to the person. They just asked a question and they got their history wiped. Not sure what you mean. If you look at the link I provided, you can see the conversation they showed between themselves and the mod. Or they refused to follow our rules and were removed. Okay, but like I said, their history was wiped for asking a question. Is that what you do here? I'm not clicking on your link. It's a Twitter link. I'm not sure how this can be a productive conversation if we aren't looking at the same information. And then they got muted. Pretty cool. I'm not clicking on any of your links that maybe go against what I'm trying to express here. You're out of line, Buster. Get me.
Evidence that I refute my own argument that is completely nonsensical? No, I'm not gonna look at that.
Muted. Goodbye with you. You're not welcome on r/art anymore for asking us questions and trying to bring up concerns. We don't do that around here. So that's kind of the state of r/art mod team. And I think it's important that you know that this isn't an isolated incident. A few years back, something kind of similar happened where one of the mods went on a bit of a wacky power trip where they had removed a post from an artist claiming that it was AI art. That artist reached out to prove that it wasn't to try and get their post reinstated. I'm the artist of a painting, a muse in Warzone. I'm here for complaining about the unfair ban, but I can give you guys the process or the PSD file of that painting. I'm not using any AI support, and that punishment is not right. Sorry for my bad English, and thank you for your time. Here's my portfolio. Take a look. The r/art mod replies, I don't believe you. Even if you did paint it yourself, it's so obviously an AI prompted design that it doesn't matter. If you really are a serious artist, then you need to find a different style because A, no one is going to believe when you say it's not AI, and B, the AI can do better in seconds what might take you hours. Sorry, it's the way of the world. You've been temporarily muted from r/art. Yes, very classy r/art mod. I can hear your pinky was up when you wrote that reply.
God, what a foul and stinky individual. I don't believe you, and even if you painted it yourself, it's so obviously an AI prompted design that it doesn't matter. What do you mean? It literally wants to provide you the PSD files so that you can see what he has done. The different layers, the strokes. Like, this is not freaking Coca-Cola here displaying the would-be behind the scenes of making the Coke adverts where they created it all on a single layer in Photoshop. The promotional art, which of course the promotional video itself was AI generated. Absolute bullshit. This is not it. This is an actual artist that is willing to provide you with truth and links his DeviantArt and all. You can provide evidence? Who decided that?
Sorry, it's the way of the world. You've been temporarily muted from r/art. Yes, very classy r/art mod. I can hear your pinky was up when you wrote that reply there. So he struck the post down believing it was AI art. When reached out to and challenged with proof that it wasn't AI, he instead goes, okay, so even if you did paint it, and even if you are a serious artist, I still don't like it. Also, AI can do what you did much better in a matter of minutes, what might take you hours. Sorry, bub, that's the way of the world. Also, you're muted. This happened a couple years ago, and when it happened, this was also a pretty big deal to the r/art community, but nothing happened. This mod, as far as I know, is still currently a moderator on the subreddit. Who's to say it's not the same mod that just had this meltdown with Hayden Clay? I think there's a very real possibility, especially judging by the cringe way that they communicate with other people.
True.
So I think it's very possible it's the same culprit. Regardless, though, it is so pathetic. Whoever is responsible for this shit here. It is unbelievable to me how often this seems to happen with Reddit mods. Like, this stereotype has existed for a long time about being like this sad, lonely loser who power trips as a Reddit mod. And yet, it keeps happening over and over and over again. There is no self-awareness and no fucking shame from some of these Reddit mods. It's tragic. It's just so stupid, man. Unreal. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.
Well, apparently this is not just it, because the saga continues, for there is more. And apparently they all resigned. I don't suppose they were talking about the artists here, because they are not the one who have an employment through Reddit. It's the moderators. And a whole bunch of them? Aren't we just talking about the one?
We recently experienced a government shutdown, and now, with the 1-2 punch here, the two-piece combo, we are experiencing something even more devastating. The r/art shutdown. Lord help us all. The mods decided to sail off into the sunset, and it looks like that subreddit is now just in shambles. With no tyrants to moderate it anymore, there is nothing left. And they couldn't even just leave without making it cringe. They made a post about it. I'll go ahead and show you that real quick. But in a nutshell, if you haven't followed the story at all, there was a mod on r/art who took down a post from an artist named Hayden Clay because he had mentioned the word print when replying to a compliment in the thread, which is against rule number 9 on the 10 commandments of r/art, where you can't promo anything. So they took down his post, and he reached out to them in DM saying, hey, you really gonna take my post down because I gave a little more information? And he said, you broke the rules. I can also delete your entire history if you'd like as well, which was very hostile, a very power-trippy response, to which Hayden Clay responded, basically saying, like, this is a little weird. And they said, okay, take this then, Buster. Here's your just desserts, and deleted his entire post history, which included all of his art, some of which was some of the most popular on the entire subreddit, which is a pretty big blow.
Sure.
Hayden then responded to that again, just saying, like, this is ridiculous, seems like you have a vendetta, and he said, I don't know who the fuck you are. Some main character energy,
Bam.
just really eye-rolling, nauseating shit. To which Hayden once again responded about, like, how ridiculous it was, and then they said, you're reported for harassment, have a good day, which ended up immediately banning Hayden from Reddit for 3 days, because apparently Reddit mods have that kind of power where even the admins will just bend the knee to them. It was a huge deal, big hoopla. I made a video about it yesterday, and everyone was upset at these mods because this is just completely unfair and it's ridiculous. It's unhinged to be behaving that way. And now, in response to everyone calling it out, this is what they did. I know. Apparently, the r/art mods are throwing in the towel. They made this dramatic post. We out. You win. We all resign. This is them signing off, I suppose, after so many people called out what they did as being just fucking ridiculous.
What?
They can't even just leave without making it cringy.
But who's we? We were talking about one guy before, and presumably him or her, okay, we are equal opportunities here, but him possibly being the one perpetrator for a previous event. But who is we?
It's impressive. They still had to do some kind of little song and dance on their way out.
I know, they think this shit went
so hard. It's so tough. Just fucking dorks. Just complete dorks. Power-tripping dweebs. So I guess they're resigning. Which is cute, because it's not like a real position. It's not like a, give me your badge and your gun. This is literally just logging out.
Thereby done.
This is one of the bigger subs, too. They'll be replaced quickly. They're probably just going to make alt accounts. They're not going to be replaced. One thing that I have learned about Reddit is that there is this upper echelon of, like, closed-door handshake mods that all moderate, like, 90% of this fucking platform. And this is such a big subreddit, there's no doubt in my mind they're just gonna have them make another account to be a mod or some shit, pretending.
Of course.
There's no way. Also very possible they paid for the position to begin with. I don't know about that. I don't know how that works.
Okay, that's a
if you
bit
pay to be a
speculative,
mod on Reddit,
that's too
that
pathetic.
should be a jailable offense.
Yeah.
It would be so interesting if someone infiltrated the inner circle of Reddit mods. I think it'd be interesting, yeah. I think that actually would be a fascinating story. Crawlingly annoying. But I guess this is a very strong brotherhood because it was one moderator who went rogue. Well, potentially two, because of the story I covered 3 years ago where a guy fucking melted down because he thought one of the artists submitted AI art when he was
sure, that's the maximum.
He said, well, your art isn't what I like anyway, and AI can do it better. Get out of here, Buster, plus you're muted. that could have been 2 different people, but at most, that's 2 people on this mod team. That's not the entire mod team. But because of these 2, the entire team decided to disband together in solidarity. So it seems like they kind of rally behind that behavior, at least that's the perspective I get. The impression this leaves me with is that these mods felt like they did absolutely nothing wrong and people were just being ridiculous with pitchforks calling for their scalp. So instead they're just going to be the bigger people and just leave. That's it. But they don't think they did anything that warrants any kind of, outrage. That's the impression I get. I think it's so weird how kind of, outrage. That's the impression I get. I think it's so weird how the entire mod team now leaves because of the behavior of 1, potentially 2 of them. That to me shows that they kind of huff their own farts and enable themselves. Like they wind each other up and think that they're constantly correct.
Few moments.
Boy howdy do I have a wacky update for you. If you're standing up, you're gonna want to take a seat. This is big. This will wake your grandma up. I posted a video earlier today giving you the aftermath of the r/art Reddit mod meltdown and how apparently the entire mod team had resigned, basically turning in their badge and gun saying, you know what? We're done here, bucko. All because one greasy ghoul on the moderation team let his ego spiral out of control because of that small crumb of power he was given as a moderator on the subreddit. And he just went ballistic. He lost his mind, lost his marbles, but could never lose his virginity, and it was just pure pandemonium. He got called out, couldn't handle the criticism, and then it seems like the entire mod team disbanded because of it. But I just learned, because I was reading the comments on the video, that Dolan Darkest had posted an update to the story that actually paints a very different, even more pathetic picture than what we thought happened. Because their post just says, we out, you win, we all resign. What if I told you that's not the whole story? What if I told you that was a big fat lie? The calls coming from inside the house. It turns out that the real scoop here is even more degenerate than you could possibly imagine. Like, I don't even think fanfic writers would have come up with something this embarrassingly pathetic. So, big thanks to Dolan Darkest for uncovering this, because it is unbelievably comical. This is a truly special crash out that undoes 15 years of professional Redditing. It's incredible. And I use the word professional Redditing in jest. That's not really a thing. If anyone calls himself a professional Redditor, that is someone that needs to be locked inside Arkham Asylum ASAP.
It turns out the moderator who power tripped and caused all of this in the first place, known as Neo Diogenes, actually had one last power trip. According to one moderator, they had no idea what had happened, as no communication was given when the subreddit was locked down. He undid this lockdown, and then he got kicked as a mod.
So this is one of the mods on the team that was unaware they were fighting in a war right now. They didn't know Judgment Day had happened. So they're saying, I woke up to a bunch of people DMing me about a situation I knew nothing about and responding to my comments in completely unrelated subreddits. I contacted admins, tried to contact the mod who had locked the subreddit through various channels, attempted to undo the lock, got my actions undone, then got booted as a mod. Now I see posts from meme subreddits I frequent and give my side. I haven't chosen anything, lol. He then went on to explain that there can be unlimited mods, so he wasn't like taking somebody's space by being there and only did what he could to help out with some of the tools and things like that. And it was not like, constant updates what was happening there, which is why he was out of the loop. So Scooby-Doo and the...
So it was a head mod that was like, hey, on behalf of everybody else who's not involved in my drama, we quit.
Crew pulled up here and Dolan unmasked the mustache-twirling evil villain, and it turns out it was someone named Neo Diogenes, which, according to a lot of people on Reddit, is someone that has somewhat of a toxic history. I'm not overly familiar with Neo Diogenes and his reign of tyranny and terror. I have no clue. But according to Dolan, that was the mod that was going on this wacky power trip. And this mod here is saying that they actually tried to lift the lockdown, which, trying to get them out of DEF CON, ended up putting their own asshole in the crosshairs of superstar sniper Neo Diogenes, and he enacted revenge. He reinstated lockdown protocol and then booted this mod
the only other active moderator I could find, also posted that they didn't leave voluntarily, calling the mod that kicked them stupid, and providing proof they were randomly kicked, saying it was definitely just one mod crashing out.
This is another r/art moderator echoing the same sentiment as the previous one about getting kicked randomly. So basically, Neo Diogenes was purging. He was on a fucking crazy crash out, leaving bodies in his wake. I don't have access to any logs anymore, but I can post this as proof that I didn't leave voluntarily. You don't get these messages when you leave a subreddit on your own. I'm not sure which mod did it, but they're fucking stupid in any case. And then they posted the screenshot. The other message Dolan highlights from this mod is about how they believe it is one mod crashing out, which I think is the correct theory here. I think that's pinning the tail on the donkey. And keep in mind, all of this started because the person whose post they removed messaged him asking, "Are you really going to do this because I provided information?" That's what...
Yes, he had to not just double, nor triple, nor quadruple down on his stupid behavior. He had to purge a whole subreddit for it. This is a person who came out ass first in birth, smelled his own farts, and never stopped.
Started all of this, someone just messaged the mod loosely questioning their decision, like with the enforcement of their rules, because it was a bit of a stretch. And that's what started all of this. Someone dared have the gall, the chin, the strong chin, to question Neo Diogenes.
Now, during Neo Diogenes' crash out, he actually left a bunch of unhinged, sarcastic messages, deleting them 30 minutes later. Comments such as, "You're right, we look like total shits. It's why we quit. Better to be done with all that because we obviously suck at everything. You won, we quit. Go and live life to the fullest, champ. Like I said, I'm boring."
Looking at the message history from Neo Diogenes is just so sad. Yep, it's my fragile ego. For 15 years, all I did was... I'm assuming that says moderate. I don't know why it's censored. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe Dolan's viewing it as like a slur. And Reddit. Sometimes simultaneously. Holy shit, this guy's like an X-Men mutant. He's able to moderate.
Yeah, that would be masturbate. I see a similar letter count right there if you replace that through Photoshop.
And Reddit at the same time? What the fuck? I didn't know anyone could be so powerful. I was blissfully unaware that superhumans like this existed amongst us mere mortals. Wow, that's crazy talent. God, the tone of his messages is truly insufferable. Just playing the world's smallest violin for his pity party and the wambulance showing up. Yep, that's right. It was a temper tantrum. I've learned my lesson. It's why I'm not going to be a mod again. I'm not cut out for it. Sure, whatever you want to call it, either way, the result is what you see. You're right, it would have been a good idea in hindsight and all that.
And it implicates everybody else with it.
Shits. It's why we quit. Better to be done with all that because we obviously suck at, well, everything. Actually disgusting that he's roping in anyone else on the mod team to his temper tantrum. This was a solo project here from this guy. It was entirely just him alone on the front lines of this battle. The mod team was not backing him from everything I've seen.
And now, it looks like he has completely nuked his Reddit account. I actually caught this in action when I checked out his account earlier today. All of his posts being deleted and replaced with random words using a plugin, and now his Reddit account has absolutely no posts left on it, nuking 15 years of moderation that he did for free, by the way, nuking an entire subreddit because you couldn't deal with criticism, and then kicking every other mod while you're at it, making it their problem as well. And then
what a pathetic
every
individual.
single comment you've ever made on Reddit. That's some major main character energy there.
That was a beautiful callback from Dolan there. That shit had me giggling when he brought out the major main character energy. That was what Neo Diogenes said to Hayden Clay when Hayden was like, "Hey man, it really feels like you have a vendetta against me because
this person knows that people will likely go down their history and check out every single unhinged comment that they have made in the past, and false judgments as well. So this is not a new thing. This is a repeated pattern of behavior, as was somewhat stated that he has a problematic history, and therefore chooses instead to purge the entire history on the site.
This is just way too extreme with what you're doing. That was one of his
no
responses.
accountability.
He said, "I don't even know who the fuck you are. That is some major main character energy." So, based on this investigation here, with all available evidence, it seems that that post, "We out, you win, we all resign," was very misleading. The truth hidden in the pudding here is that one mod was going through a very impressive crash out, and while still power tripping, sucking their own dick, kicked the other mods of r/art, then made that post, making it seem like they all banded together in unity and left together as a result of the backlash from this guy going off the rails. That is a nefarious plot right there. That is dubious, to say the least. So now all the other mods that seem to not be on his side at all have now been roped into it because of him kicking them, making that post, making it seem as though they were still suckling off his nipples there. Like, hey, we're in this together. Like as if they were backing him up. But that's just not the case, it doesn't seem. That's crazy to go this far. So he kicks all the other mods and then deletes his entire 15-year Reddit history, and it seems like Reddit is the most important thing to this guy's life. So that is a big fucking deal. All because the guy whose post you removed dared ask for more clarification and if there was any wiggle room to maybe, like, instead of delete everything, just remove that comment that he believed was violative. Because someone dared ask him a question and try and, like, expand and question him, it started this crash out.
Now, I want to make clear, not everybody online is like this. Despite the many examples that you even might be seeing online are like this. But then again, with the incessant amount of like Karens and what's the equivalent of a Karen again? F it. Male Karen behavior that's been on display on the internet. It's impossible not to consider individuals like this to be a special breed. Like, how can you be so adverse to taking responsibility, like just a little bit, for having been wrong once? If that is the one case. And that leading to you making a generational crash out.
That's unhinged. And I'm not exaggerating either. It was one message that set this guy off. They hadn't talked previously from what I can see. When that poster was moved, he just asked, hey, are you really going to remove it because I gave a little extra information? And immediately he goes into like combat stance. He's like, all right, it's time to get pugilistic. You ready for fisticuffs? I'm gonna maybe delete your entire post history. Would you like that? I could do that.
Dude is, if I may borrow a red pill term, an NPC. Probably heard the MGS sound effect of being detected. Like ringing in his brain and was like, oh shit, somebody triggered me finally. I've been waiting for this.
If you want, and the guy's like, okay, bud, calm down here. And he's like, okay, it's gone. Like, that's it. He took the smallest, most trivial nothing burger and blew it up into this. I just can't, like, it is a very special crash out. And also, my apologies to the mod team. I had no idea that he was using you like puppets in his game here. He was the chess master and you were pawns on his board. I didn't know, and I apologize.
Well, sorry, moderation team. We were not familiar with his game, I guess. But 15 years doing that. And the best part, which I don't suppose that... okay, I can't blame Charlie. Perhaps it's also my mind now on the internet that has poisoned it, but jorking it to Reddit. Fuck! Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching this, and thanks to my Discord for sharing this with me. This was a great laugh, and man, what a despicable person. Please don't ever be like this. And I'm sure you won't be if you're watching this channel. Anyways, you are awesome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and see you guys in the next one. Bye.